I wish he lived to see this, because he would have been the happiest American alive right now. He would have thought, man, I didn't fight in vain.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there are a lot of people who are freedom loving, who are a little bit beside themselves going, this is really happening. I'm Ryan Gresham, and this is Gun Talk Nation. Gun Talk Nation is brought to you by Kimber, EOTech, NRA ARC, Hodgdon, and Tokarev. Hey, welcome into Gun Talk Nation. Today on Gun Talk Nation, we've got AWR Hawkins, an award-winning Second Amendment columnist for Breitbart News, writer, creator, curator of Downrange with AWR Hawkins, a weekly newsletter focused on all things Second Amendment, also for Breitbart News. He's also a political analyst. He's a member of GOA and director of global marketing for Lone Star Hunts. He was the visiting fellow at the Russell Kirk Center for Cultural Renewal, and has a PhD in military history. AWR, welcome in and tell me what I got wrong.
You didn't get anything wrong. You said a lot of things. I appreciate that.
All right.
Yeah. It's funny, isn't it? You look back on life and you've done a few things, but my favorite thing to do is write on guns, period.
And you put out an incredible amount of content on guns. I mean, you're a guy who, if you go onto Breitbart, which was what I was doing, just kind of looking up what you've been talking about lately, I mean, it's multiple things a day that you guys are putting out stories on.
Well, you got to counter the left. You know, you can't, and not just counter them, keep them at bay. If you stay on them real good, you don't have to worry about their narrative. Normally after a shooting or something, you know, Ryan, I do have to worry about turning the narrative and take that away from them, turn it back the way it needs to go. So it requires a lot of writing. But if every day you just stay on them, then you can keep that narrative out of their hands. So that's what we try to do.
AWR, you're a guy who follows this. You're a smart guy. You've been looking at it for a long time. One of the things that I think our side struggles with is we gotta say, well, the facts are on our side and the logic is on our side. But then, do facts and logic move the needle? I mean, what's the strategy?
I think in the long term they do. I think what I've learned is in the short term, emotion moves the needle, and that's the left. Mm-hmm. And that's why they might get traction, and it might look like, even under Biden, it looked like 2 or 3 times we're going to have a ton of gun control go through. Mm-hmm. But the facts and the rationale defeat that. Once people think coolly and they back up and cooler minds prevail, even though Biden did succeed in the bipartisan Safer Communities Act, let's be honest, that was a wash. And that was something he bragged about. But apart from ruining John Cornyn's career, that didn't really accomplish anything. And I believe that where we have won, and I include you and your dad in this, I include a lot of people who don't work for Breitbart in this, people who have been at this a long time. How many decades has your dad been at this in facts
30 years on the radio, and then other stuff before that, right?
Just educating. And I believe that's the long game. I believe it's weird, to be honest with you, because the left defeated us in education via the long game. They saw in the 60s how they would take over the universities, how they would change curriculum, how they would do all these things. And we sat back and didn't realize what they were doing until they had won. Yeah. And I believe if you look right now, look at our standing in the court system, which I don't think anyone saw coming. Look at how we're doing in the court system, how we're using the court system, how we're also using new media, not establishment media, including podcasts and radio. And I believe if you look at the long game on guns, we're winning. And it goes back to what you're saying, facts and rationale.
So don't give up on the facts and rationale part of it.
No, I don't believe so. And you know, you might, every now and then you're going to talk to someone, and when you're done, you're going to go, that wasn't worth it. But maybe the next 5 conversations will be. So, you know, yeah. I know you have too. I've had those, it's not worth it talks, but you sometimes don't realize that till it's over.
Sometimes you're in the middle of it and you go, what the hell? Let's just keep going. I'm not going to get anywhere, but whatever.
But I mean, I've got nothing else to do.
That's right. What has been, as you follow this in the last few weeks, has there been any stories or anything that's popped up that's kind of on your radar?
Well, I've had, sadly, in the last few weeks, a lot of things I've had to cover that are reactionary. You know, the attack on Dallas ICE, the assassination of Charlie Kirk, this lunatic who attacked the Mormon church over the weekend, those kinds of things. But other than that, what I see, and I don't want to jump ahead of us, but I mentioned this when you and I were speaking off camera. You see our DOJ is very active in trying to take down gun control. You see our civil rights division of our DOJ, but ours, I'll say Trump's DOJ because it's actually his, but you see that DOJ now taking part in lawsuits against assault weapons bans. You see that DOJ bringing lawsuit against the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. And they're doing that because the Sheriff's Department is slow walking the issuance of concealed carry permits. And in a state like California, if you don't have a concealed carry permit, you've got to go unarmed because you don't dare carry a gun without a permit in a heavily gun controlled state. So what it basically does, slow moving that renders citizens defenseless. And so you've got Trump's DOJ in on that. I could keep going. But in my opinion, that's really been a highlight of the last month, is to see his DOJ get so active, not in defending gun control, but in trying to knock it down.
It's almost a weird place for us because for so long we felt like we were on our heels with this and always like jabbing and ducking and weaving. And now it's like we're actually maybe perhaps gaining some ground because we have the right administration in there that's supporting gun rights.
Right. It's exactly right. And it is surreal in many ways. You're exactly right. And I'll see something pop up and I dig and dig until I can find the filing so I can read it for myself, because I'm like, wait, does this say that our DOJ is going to fight with gun rights groups against assault weapons bans?
Right.
And it's not that I think Trump supports an assault weapons ban. It's not that. It's just what you're saying, to actually see the administration say, we're not going to see the Second Amendment treated like a second class right. It's amazing. And it's what we fought for decades. You know, it's wild.
Well, it is wild. And here's the thing. If people listening to this, people who read your stuff, they're in it. Like the gun rights, the Second Amendment, they care about it, they follow it. But I mean, let's be honest, the people who are in Washington, D.C., even if they're conservative, guns may not be their first priority or even their third priority. So the fact that it's not just that they're okay with guns, but they're actively, filing the DOJ filing lawsuits to gain back some gun rights is a big deal. They're proactively doing this. And going back to what you said about California, that's definitely a place where you can't get away with it. I mean, I'm here in Louisiana, a fairly freedom-loving place where they almost give you the benefit of the doubt. And if you had to use your gun in a self-defense encounter, you probably also are going to get a little bit of the benefit of the doubt and kind of go, okay, we're okay with that. We want good citizens doing good things. But in a place like California, you are not.
Right. No, you're exactly right. And I want to say real quick, since you're in Louisiana, you can pay me for this appearance in boudin balls and etouffee. I just want to say that. But back to your point, you're right. See, this is a problem when people will ask, why don't you accept common sense gun control or moderate gun control? Because if you start accepting those things, and they're neither common sense nor moderate, but if you start accepting them, pretty soon you have what you have in California, where you have so many statutes and regulations that if they slow roll the permit like they're doing, you literally cannot carry a weapon to defend yourself. Your life is indefensible for that period of time. And so this is why I fight gun control at all levels, tooth and nail. And in my opinion, what constitutional carry has done has exposed the concealed carry permit as one of the most egregious gun controls in existence. Because basically, you see it in California, in Los Angeles County, where they have to beg their government for permission to exercise the right to bear arms. Do you think our founders ever dreamed we would have to beg the government to exercise a right that they were never supposed to infringe.
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, you think about if you had to go take a class and get a permission slip to exercise freedom of religion, would that be okay?
Right. No, you're exactly right. Freedom of speech or freedom of, the ability to own property that the government couldn't just usurp and keep their soldiers in or on. Yeah, it's crazy. And I think when you do what you just did, when you look at other freedoms and you use the idea of a permitting process for that, people go, wait, that doesn't make sense. Because I think somehow in our psyche, we've gotten used to having to get a permit to carry a gun. We've got to get past that.
Yeah.
I think when you shift it to other rights like you did, people kind of go, wait, this is correct. Why do I have to get a permit to exercise a God-given right?
Well, look, we can't let anybody go to church and practice religion. There needs to be some parameters, some training that
Right.
we're going to give these people before they just start practicing religion all over the place. Like
Right.
we got to make sure that they're approved to practice religion.
Right, because if they're not approved, they might not do it correctly.
Whew, you think about that, it really messes with people's heads. Hey, let's take a quick break. After the break, we're going to talk about gun-free zones. EOTech brought out the smallest 3-9 rifle scope I've ever seen, the super short Voodoo 3-9 by 32 rifle scope. Aircraft-grade aluminum, lightweight, durable, measuring just 6.8 inches, fog, water, and shock resistant, capped quarter MOA turrets, second focal plane design, has illuminated reticle with 10 brightness settings, and it also has an integrated base compatible with many ACOG mounts, so really easy to mount up and start shooting. Go check it out, the super short Voodoo 3-9 rifle scope. The new CDS-9 Classic from Kimber offers a more refined offering of concealed carry pistol. The CDS-9 Classic shares many elements with the traditional CDS-9, such as 10, 13, and 15 round magazine capacity. The Classic model features fully ambi controls and also available in an optics-ready configuration. The CDS-9 Classic is a refined and smooth EDC firearm that provides the accuracy you need and the performance you expect from Kimber. Own an AR? Then it's time to really learn what it can do. The NRA's America's Rifle Challenge, or ARC, is the ultimate way to train, test your skills, and compete safely with your AR-style rifle. Whether you're a new owner or a seasoned pro, ARC offers progressive training and fun. Action-filled matches from 10 yards to 400 and beyond. Rimfire, PCC, and suppressors are welcome. It's time to get out of the booth or off the sighting bench and pressure test yourself and your setup in competition. Find an event or start your own at arc.nra.org. That's arc.nra.org. And if you're a gun club, reach out to host an NRA ARC event at your range. The 2026 Winter Sectionals are fast approaching. NRA ARC. AWR, I got a question for you. Are gun-free zones immoral?
In my opinion, they are because they're unnatural. And, anything that is unnatural runs counter to natural law, natural rights, and ultimately the author of natural rights. Thomas Jefferson would put that author as our creator. So I believe, in my opinion, anything like a gun-free zone, which undercuts my ability to defend my life, self-defense is natural. The inability to conduct self-defense is unnatural. So I believe a gun-free zone is unnatural.
It's strange because I'll try to do a mental exercise and let me just try to see the other side and try to understand it. And with the intention of learning how to battle it, not really seeking to get on board with it. But I can't wrap my brain around any type of logic of why a gun-free zone would exist.
Well, I can't either, except it makes the people, when we began our time together today, we talked about the difference between logic and rationale versus emotion. It makes people that operate off emotion feel good. But you feel good until someone attacks you in a gun-free zone. Then you don't feel very good because suddenly you can't do what comes natural, which is defend your own life. So gun-free zones are very dangerous. And besides that, I believe you used the language. I would argue that they're immoral because unnatural.
I mean, you think about it, I obviously they're saying, well, bad things happen at churches, so we need to create a gun-free zone. That's one of the prohibited areas for concealed carry.
Right.
Except that you're assuming the people carrying guns into a church are only bad people. And I think that's one of the default places where they come from is, well, a lot of these is like, well, we're assuming that the carrier of a gun is a bad guy. And actually, probably most times it's not.
Right. Right. And I think what they're also doing, and they're not thinking about it, they're responding to an attack in a gun-free zone by wanting to directly or indirectly enlarge the gun-free zone. Well, that's just providing a bigger target. You have to stop and think, why did they choose this target? Now, it may be that the person harbors a particular degree of hatred for a certain faith, but in my experience, there's also going to be a second reason there, and it's going to be that person figured out security was low or non-existent, and that they could carry out their attack without fear being with bullets flying back at them. And we have to create a world where people understand if you come to attack children or churchgoers or whoever, Walmart shoppers, I don't care, then you are going to face perhaps more bullets than you're launching. We have to create that world. And if we do that, people will understand we're going to have to find new targets because churches and schools that's not a good target anymore.
I mean, typically when they show up, they're assuming no one is armed and no one's shooting back. Otherwise, they wouldn't go there for the most part.
Right. You're exactly right. Well, if you look at the Minneapolis shooter, August 27th, he had written in his journal about his admiration for the Aurora theater shooter. That was in 2012. And the Aurora theater shooter had worked extensively to find a theater that was gun-free. So that, to your point, when he went in that theater to start shooting, no one could shoot back. He was the only one with a gun. There's something weird in the psyche of these shooters. It's their one power trip. It's their one opportunity to have the power they feel like people have held over their heads their whole life. You see that time and again. And maybe someone could study that and figure it out. But the quicker solution that's necessary is when they pull a gun, they need to face about 6 guns and figure out this was a bad decision and I'm not going to hurt anybody, but they're going to hurt me. If we can develop that, then we can end these attacks.
Yeah, well said. What areas are you seeing that citizens are doing a good job as far as working on the gun rights side and making some progress, maybe at the state level or on a national level?
Well, I mean, I think, Florida, where you see now open carry, that's a result of a lawsuit, not the result of the legislature. Governor DeSantis, he ripped into the Florida GOP because they had every opportunity in the majority and they would not enact open carry. And it took lawsuits to do it. And that was finally secured. So I do believe you see in the gun-owning populace, you see lawsuits that have been very effective. You see gun control, especially in California, a little at a time. And there's so much of it that it may be hard to notice. But a little at a time, California's gun control is being peeled back via lawsuits. And these are gun owners filing suits with the help of Second Amendment Foundation, Firearms Policy Coalition, the NRA. So I see that too. I believe in the groups, those 3 groups that I just named, you see a proactive, preemptive mentality that even if we back up 10 years ago, I don't know if we would have seen it to this degree. And so I am really heartened by that. Plus, I believe when we look at our legislature, although I don't believe we hold a big enough majority, I wish we had more. But if you look at a rep like Eli Crane, you look at representatives like him, they're fearless.
Yeah,
you can't mock them into submission. You'll remember a few decades ago, we would have what we would consider a strong Republican majority, and you could almost say boo, and they would scamper off.
They're so damn worried.
You say boo to Eli Crane, you better get ready for the blow because it's coming. And so I think we've done well electing better people to office as well. And these are all encouraging things to me because they have long-lasting effects.
That's a great way to put it. We're also encouraging better people to run for office, I think.
Right.
Some of those folks have said, I've had enough, and maybe they're fed up or they've been encouraged by somebody to go ahead and run for office. And you're right. Those are people getting elected who are not worried about being liked. They're not worried about being invited to all the parties in D.C. They're just going to do their thing. They're going to do the right thing. And yeah, they're not frightened by some other politicians. And, going back to California, there's been some surprises. I mean, you think about some wins out of the Ninth Circuit, which have been like, what? And this has happened several times over the last few years. You go, wait, this is a positive decision for guns coming out of the Ninth, which is just bonkers. I think it also goes to, we used to kind of seem to be more focused on the legislation part of it, and the strategy for a while has been a little bit more getting ground through lawsuits.
I agree with you, and I believe that focus has also upped the passion of the people because they're seeing rewards. I think for a long time we saw people fight, and we encouraged people to fight. You would encourage them, your dad would encourage them, I would encourage them, then they would fight, but it seemed for no end or no avail. And now, as you're saying, even with a appeals court that we used to call the Ninth Circus, it is now coming through so often. It's unbelievable. And again, these are all because of the way elections have consequences. Voting, putting in the right president. I remember during Trump's first term, a lot of people didn't pay attention, but he was setting the judicial pathway for what we are reaping today. He was setting us up perfectly. He's still doing it, but it is so important that we vote for the right people at those higher offices, because we have to keep in mind whoever we put in there is going to control the landscape of the court for the foreseeable future. Thank God, and I say that literally, thank God that Trump is the man doing that.
Yeah, I mean, and putting those judges in place at the circuit level, at the Supreme Court level, that has decades-long effect.
When you think, where would we be? I don't want to go down this rabbit hole, but I have thought about it many times. After any one of these high-profile shootings we've had, where would we be if we had a Harris administration with a court system where she was appointing justices? I mean, it would literally be scary where we would be. And but we're not there because we happen to have a freedom-loving administration that respects the Constitution. And it's wild to me. I wish my dad died in 2014, and I think so often, he was a combat vet. Mm-hmm. I wish he lived to see this, because he would have been the happiest American alive right now. He would have thought, man, I didn't fight in vain.
Yeah. I mean, there are a lot of people who are freedom loving, who are a little bit beside themselves going, this is really happening.
It's wild. But, the thing is, our Second Amendment's being restored. I tried to cover that when I spoke at Gun Rights Policy Conference. You have these leftists that say, well, we have the Supreme Court creating rights in Heller, or creating rights in McDonald, or whatever. They're not creating rights. They're reaffirming rights that have always been there but have been suppressed. And we've been waiting for a day like this when the judiciary was set correctly so that they could stand up and go, wait, enough of this. We need to reaffirm there is a right to have a gun in the home for self-defense. There is a right to carry a gun outside the home for self-defense. And it's a beautiful day. No one's creating rights. Yeah. These rights existed before Thomas Jefferson was even thought of by his mother. And all that's happening now is we are reaffirming the rights that our founders risked everything to secure. That's all that's happening. It's a great day.
Well, it's respect for our founding fathers, too, when we reaffirm that. I mean, it's so incredibly disregarding and disrespectful when they just say, no, never mind. I don't care what they said.
It really is. And I don't know how to say it. We used to be a postmodern society about 8 years ago. I think we're postmodern now. And in the postmodern, you're right. We just fluff it off. Who cares what they said? Doesn't matter to me. And we've made them so unimportant in academia and elsewhere. But I don't know about you. I feel like I'm seeing a restoration of respect for the founders in our country and a reinvigoration to read about our founders, read what they wrote, not read what someone says they wrote, but what did they write? It's easy to find it. Go read it. And I believe it is giving us a new love for freedom.
Also, do you think that people see some progress on this side and they're more willing to be vocal about these freedoms and their beliefs, not feeling like they're going to get shut down or shouted down?
Right. I do. I believe that through the new media, through podcasts like yours, again, radio shows like your dad's, our radio program at Breitbart that's on XM, different things. The voice has gotten so much bigger. We used to be drowned out. Soros or people like him, they could rent a few buses or do whatever and always either have us outnumbered or at least have bigger and better microphone systems. And they could drown us out. They can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
They can't drown us out. They really can't. And I believe you're right. I believe that emboldens people on our side. Not emboldens them to do evil or incorrect things, but it emboldens them to stand up for the truth and to stand up for freedom. And I think that's very important.
Well, it's almost a little bit of an irony, perhaps, that we have these new voices or new ways to get our voice out there that were created by Silicon Valley.
Right. You're exactly right. Well, you look, one of our big ways is X, formerly Twitter. And it's hard to believe how free the speech on X has become in the past few years. Credit, of course, to Elon for he is jealous for free speech, and thank God he is. And but that has created a platform that goes to your point again. That has created a platform in X where people who under Jack, the former owner, or at least CEO under him, they were squashed if they spoke something he didn't agree with. Elon wants you to say something he doesn't agree with. Please be free in your speech.
Yeah.
And that is the America we need.
Well said. Well said. You know Hodgdon, they're the gunpowder people. Let's talk about Hodgdon CFE Black, or BLK, actually. It's a spherical propellant. It's designed specifically for the 300 Blackout cartridge. It also includes their CFE, their copper fouling eraser ingredient. Top accuracy with less barrel cleaning time. We can all like that. It's also great for other smaller capacity cartridges like the 6.8 Remington, the 7.62x39 Russian cartridge. But check it out. It's from Hodgdon. It's the CFE Black BLK over at Hodgdon.com. Tokarev USA is known for bringing dependable, feature-packed shotguns and accessories to American shooters at a price that's hard to beat. With a focus on tactical function and modern styling, the Tokarev lineup includes magazine-fed semi-autos, compact bullpups, and rugged pump-action models, all backed by a growing catalog of OEM parts and upgrades. Go learn more. Tokarev Shotguns, Tokarev Guns. It's an enormous deal for us to have big platforms out there that people can have a voice and call out the truths and call out the BS. And going full circle back on to talking about the facts and the truth on our side, it's hard to argue with that when you just keep pointing it out and people actually can hear what people are saying. It's an interesting thing too, because I mean, you have a voice, you're a big media guy, and we've got a podcast, but even the regular guy who's a gun enthusiast, everybody has an audience, even whether it's a huge audience or it's kind of a small audience, to be able to carry that message.
Right. No, you're exactly right. X provides that. And you see that. I'll see somebody who's a follower of my account and they'll type something. I'm like, that's pretty profound. I try to take time to respond and say, look, this is it. retweet it or repost it. And, you're exactly right. The free marketplace of ideas is a free marketplace for everyone, not just corporations, not just newspapers or podcasts, but every gun owner. And I think you're exactly right. And it's heartening. It's encouraging for every gun owner. We're at a different time, and we hit this place all of a sudden. It didn't come without work, of course, but it's like everything started paying dividends all of a sudden. We're in a good place as freedom-loving gun owners.
Well, and you also have to make hay while the sun is shining. This may not be the case in 4 years or 8 years or whatever it might be. So we got to keep the ground and maybe gain some ground while we can in this spot.
Right. I agree with you. We have to, that's why right now I'm going to focus on Pennsylvania, where they're trying to Democrats are trying to push gun control. We've got to defeat it now, and defeat it in a way that they'll think we're not going to bring this back up for a while. And, we need to keep fighting. And I want to do a search on states. I don't really know how many states lack a preemption law. I want preemption laws in every state controlled by Republicans at this moment. Mm-hmm. And I know your listeners know, but for those who don't, a preemption law, it prevents municipalities from passing gun controls that exceed those at the state level. And when you can get preemption laws in place, they are a check, so that if the conservatives lose control of that state for an election or two, that does not provide an opportunity for the biggest cities of that state to enact gun control. So there are things like that I believe we need to do looking forward, just to your point, because we're working in those hayfields while the sun's out. And so let's get everything we can get done while the sun is shining.
Yeah. And just to add to the preemption talk, I mean, how many of us talk about these states where it's the tail that wags the dog? The whole state is very conservative minded, except that there's this big metro area and it's this big city who has the population maybe, but then they want to make their own gun laws, which people are aware, like, oh, Chicago has bad gun laws. Well, if you have preemption in place in your state, they can't pull that crap. I mean, New Orleans tried to pull it and you can't do it. Like, we have a horrible mayor in New Orleans, horrible crime issue because she's horrible. And she's saying, well, we need special gun laws here. And that didn't fly at the state level because they're going, whoa. No, you can't do that. So that's a good point. That's an area where, especially if you're in a state that it has the votes at the state level, that you could get something done that would be a fairly permanent fix for anything else in the future.
Right. And you guys are lucky too, fortunate, I should say. You have Governor Landry. What a great governor. You're talking about pro-gun.
Yeah.
Golly. I mean, I do wonder if his mom wrapped him in a Smith & Wesson blanket when he was born. I mean, the guy is so pro-gun. I love him. I've spent quite a bit of time with him and just love him. You're so fortunate to have, we have Jeff Landry. We have Greg Abbott. Mm-hmm. We have Kevin Stitt in Oklahoma. You have around the country, you have Governor DeSantis in Florida. Around the country, you have some remarkable governors right now, and they're getting it done.
And
that's something else. We can never have the importance of those gubernatorial races.
Yes. And when you can have a strong governor, and then you get the attorney general, and they're tag teaming that thing. You got some attorney generals that are kicking butt left and right. And very outspoken. And it's interesting. We're in this world where, like, now you have attorneys generals getting together and coordinating efforts, and they're gaining ground, not just really inside their borders, but kind of gaining ground across the country because they're exchanging ideas, I think.
Right. Yeah. Well, you have Attorney General Austin Knudsen in Montana, and he and 26 other states, they're urging the Supreme Court to take up a case that would allow the Supreme Court to remind people that ammunition magazines that hold more than 10 rounds are protected by the Second Amendment. Not just that they're legal or we should have an ability to own them. No, that they are protected by the Second Amendment.
Yeah.
And it's, to your point, this 27 states pushing for this. And that's another. When you asked me a while back, what are some encouraging things? It's super encouraging to see Austin and other attorney generals rallying together to do that. Very encouraging, and it's a day that I saw it coming, but I didn't see it coming as quickly as it did. I'm glad it's here.
Yeah, let's not take our foot off the gas on this stuff, on the elections and the gun rights part. For everybody listening, we can all high five and enjoy that there is some progress being made, but there's always those areas that we can keep pushing on. AWR, thanks for being with us, man. This has been fun.
Thank you. I love being with you, and I hope you and your father continue to enjoy great success. Yeah,
and you guys go check him out on Breitbart and all the things he's doing. He's a good thinker on the Second Amendment, and man, I just appreciate it. It's been fun. Everybody listening, that's it for us. We'll see you next time on Gun Talk Nation.